Welcome everybody to a new episode of The Journal. I'm Captain Heda, and today we're talking about public enemy number 1 for competitive players, tilt. One of the most common mental states that everybody gets to experience, from amateur to professional players. We will be discussing the origins of the term, how to deal with it, and how to reduce the frequency that it happens. So we have all experienced this. The anger, the frustration, the impending sense of doom that looms over our head every time that we make a mistake during a match. Things aren't going well. Thought it was gonna be a decent match, maybe a promotion match, or really close to getting to that new ladder position. Maybe you're getting to gold, mythic, or even champion. Everything was going great. Then you get distracted. You make a small mistake and now the opponent has the advantage. Things aren't going that good. You didn't pay attention too much, it doesn't face you at the moment, but then it happens again. There's another mistake happening. Now you're not liking it. You're getting a little bit angry about it. You're not thinking clearly. Suddenly every card that he's placing is a top deck. Why is he playing that card? Oh my god, he has another answer for this. Oh, I'm getting bounced again. You're starting to get a little bit more aggressive towards the match. Things aren't going great, of course. And then you start hearing that little voice in the back of your head. Why did you play that one? Why did you attack that creature? Why did you place that card in there? Everything is why? Nothing is going good for you. You lose a match. Then you queue it again. You lose the other match. Then you lose the next match. Suddenly you're sitting in a lose streak, you are not enjoying the game, everything that you thought it was going to be a good day ended up becoming a terrible day. Well, what's happening? What's making you so angry? Well, that is tilt. Right at the center of everything is what we're going to be discussing today, is tilt. So, tilt is a term that actually comes from poker and is used to describe a state of mental confusion, frustration, or anger towards the current situation in a match. Adopting inadequate strategies, over-aggression, or frequent misplays is the definition of tilt. Now, in Mythgard, tilt can come from different factors depending on the person, and most of the common ones are losses and misplays. A single loss match might not be enough to trigger tilt, but if you go into a losing streak, then it can quickly become the starting point of a spiral towards tilt. Now, when it comes to losing matches, we have to understand a couple of realities that will be part of our journey playing competitive matches. Number one, we will lose matches. It is inevitable. There is no way around it, no perfect strategy, no infallible deck. Nothing can save you from losing a match. There is impossible for you to have a 100% win rate because, we're humans. Mistakes are going to happen, or sometimes bad draws are going to happen. The player can be a much skilled player than you and he ended up taking the game. So first of all, we do gotta understand this one. When it comes to a winning and losing ratio, we should be aiming at something about 55%. It is a good starting point, and then 66 might be a realistic cap for you to aim, and 66% is actually a really good player. Now right now, because Mythgard is kind of new, you can see ridiculously inflated win rates right now because the ladder is settling. There is a smaller group of people right now. You are sometimes facing newer players, so you can see really high skilled players going against silver or bronze players, so they're winning a lot. Their win rates are incredibly high. But eventually, when everything settles down, you're gonna start seeing the real numbers, the 66, the 50s, and beyond. Now, the other thing that we also have to consider are bad draws, and even though they are a product of variance, not bad strategy, they can affect the way that we judge our ability to play the game and to create decks. Therefore, we should actually pay no mind to these situations because they're just part of probabilities. It is not your fault that you get a bad hand most of the time, it happens. You shouldn't be actually finishing a game and going right away to check the deck, trying to force yourself into a situation when every single time that you play the game, the first hand is going to be fantastic, because it's just not going to happen. You have to have a curve that is going to be progressing depending on the match or the situation, but there's always a chance that you're going to end up, with all the enchantments in turn 1 or all the super expensive spells. It is okay, don't beat yourself over that, it's just numbers. Now, on the other hand, we have misplays. These are a product of human error, a lapse of judgment that might lead you to fall behind on a match or to lose it, and even though they can be the most frustrating situations to be during a competitive match, we have to understand that humans are prone to make mistakes. Sometimes we focus too much on a specific aspect that we get tunnel vision, that is preventing us from looking into another solution, making the right play, or sometimes we actually ended up missing vital information. Like, for example, you are in winter while you're using turn of seasons, you didn't realize, and your creatures ended up taking more damage than you were expecting. This is part of the journey into improving, being able to minimize the quantity and frequency of these errors, yet they're always gonna be present as they are a component of being human. Mistakes will happen. What you want to do is try to minimize it as much as possible. You have to learn and observe those mistakes from a different perspective to be able to lessen the chances of happening again. But when they occur, we have to try to maintain our emotions under control. Otherwise, we will dive into tilt, especially when the odds are going against us. We start getting more frustrated, we're not thinking. So we want to have pretty much a clear head as much as possible. Now, one of the things that I found recently that actually it has helped me a lot, it is to talk to myself during a match. Pretty much like I'm commentating what's going on, like the same way that I do when I'm streaming, but I'll do it even when I'm not actually broadcasting the game. I'll just be talking out loud. This is turn 2, the enemy has this power, this path, these creatures in hand, what do I have in here, what should I be placing. It has given me the ability to pretty much look things on a different perspective and keeps me engaged into the current situation, because you know, sometimes what happens is that you go into autopilot. You are just playing match after match after match after match, and without actually thinking, you're just reacting to the specific moment, what is happening. He dropped this card, I'll drop this card. He drops this card, I drop this card. And then since you're going into autopilot, sometimes you actually miss vital information. By talking to yourself, you're actually engaging into the match. You're being more immersive into the current situation, and it will probably help you to actually, retain the highest amount of attention into the match, reducing the chances of getting tilted over mistakes that shouldn't happen to you because you already know that it's a mistake. Now, once we are able to understand that all these situations are always going to be part of our competitive game experience, then it's going to help us to try to learn and control our tilt. Now, given that tilt can be seen something similar to a cognitive bias, as a distorted perception or an inaccurate judgment, we have to treat tilt as a state where we're not performing at our best, where mistakes are going to be more frequent or exacerbated. So it is better for you that after a difficult match, maybe take a moment to collect yourself, analyze what has occurred and how can we learn from it, where the mistakes happen, how the mistakes happen, why the mistake happened, and how can we work to prevent it from happening again. That actually is going to be an invaluable lesson to you because it's going to help you to get rid of it. It is going to take you some time to get used to doing this pretty much after every match if you can, but it is a really beneficial ritual to actually do because it is going to impart you the understanding of mistakes are happening, but how can we get rid of them? How can we work towards lessening the chances of that specific mistake of happening again? Taking frequent breaks can also be a useful way to avoid getting agitated over difficult sessions. If you're feeling uncomfortable while you're playing, take some time off and do another activity that will take your mind out of the game. Then you can come back. If it doesn't get that better after that small break, then just completely move on to do something else. Come back tomorrow when you have a clear mind, because you don't want to be playing under these negative mental stages floating on top of you. Nothing is going to be good after that. Every single small mistake is going to become bigger and bigger and bigger. They're going to snowball. Nothing is going to be actually enjoyable of that session. So it is better for you to actually just stop. The game's still going to be there tomorrow. Do not worry about it. The virtual points are still going to be there. Do not worry about them. Come back to it later. Now you can also play other games that are more relaxing or do not require too much thinking, so you can flush away all that emotional baggage and then come back and try to rank up a little bit more if that's what you're into. The more control that you have over the game, the better you're gonna feel. Therefore, try to play with decks that you feel actually good playing with. Do not force yourself to play meta decks for the sake of climbing, as you're gonna find yourself in a position where you might actually soar through the ranks, ended up in a really high rank for you. You're feeling great, and then suddenly you start to realize that you're losing a lot of matches. Things are getting super difficult. What is going on? What suddenly happened? Did the decks start working out of the sudden? No, you pretty much put yourself in a position that the deck was overperforming at the moment. It's a really good deck, and it has put you in a spot where you actually are facing much skilled players than before. So it could inflate your rank, and it's going to be a problematic scenario for you because you're going to be fighting people that might not be on your corresponding rank at the moment, and do not feel bad about that. Sometimes it happens. You get a massive win streak, you get skyrocketed into a really high position, and now you're gonna go back down. But that's okay. You just learn. You just saw what is your next step, what it's gonna be like when you reach that scenario. Now the moment that meta shifts, you could also be placed in an awkward position because you've been using this deck a lot. You know the ins and outs of this deck, but now it doesn't work as it used to work anymore. But you don't know how to fix it because you haven't been paying attention, or you haven't actually dedicated a little bit of time to learn the skill of making decks. And that is one of the main reasons why I really advocate deck building as much as I can, because it will provide you with the tools to understand meta shifts. It will provide you with the knowledge necessary to make adjustments into that deck to actually keep them performing the same way that it was doing before. It's gonna make you still feel good about using that deck because you just did a couple changes. It's gonna also show you about composition and possible strategies that is gonna give you an immense amount of knowledge that is gonna be going alongside your mechanical skills. The more that you know about the game, the better you're gonna be performing. So it's gonna put you in a position where you can actually be more comfortable and under control while also reducing the chances of tilting. A good question that we can ask ourselves before we start the daily session is, what are we trying to get out of this session? Are we aiming to focus only on improving? Are we testing new ideas, or are we gonna go just for the grind? We just wanna reach gold, mithril, champion tonight. Because if we put ourselves in an adequate mentality, that's also going to help us to be prepared for the outcome of today's session. So if we're going for improvement, we're not looking for victories. We're paying attention to our mistakes and the opponent mistakes, so we can learn how to capitalize from them and how to avoid our mistakes. Our goal is knowledge, and the outcome of the matches are irrelevant at the moment. We are just looking to improve the way that we are playing either with this deck or the way that we are playing the game. If we are going to be testing new deck ideas, we're going with a similar attitude. Victories are just numbers right now, just statistics. Our focus relies on testing the deck over multiple matches. We want to know how the draw is working, how the curve is working, how the progression of the gems are working. Is the clear good enough? Are the early time creators are strong enough? Am I getting short on gems? Are the color balances adequate? We're just looking into clear all the questions that we have about this current deck. Therefore, winning or losing doesn't really matter. Now, if we are going for the grind, we have to be mentally prepared for the ladder fighting back at you. We're gonna lose matches. We are gonna make mistakes. Things are not gonna be great in certain situations, but we're also gonna be winning. We are looking at the bigger picture right here. You lost 5 matches, but you ended up going 10 positive. We're good. We progress. You lost 5, you won 6. We're good. We progress step by step, but we actually ended up in a positive ratio. So do not focus on the mistakes right now. Mistakes are going to be reviewed at the end of the session. After you're done with the grind for the night, then you can sit down and talk about where did I make a mistake, why did I make a mistake, what could I do to solve it. But leave that one to the very end, after you did all the matches that you wanted to do for the day. Now, if the grind ended up being unsuccessful, you ended up losing matches, you went into a losing streak, or you actually didn't progress too much, that is okay, because you're gonna have the chance to do it tomorrow, most likely, or the day after. The game is not gonna go anywhere. Right now we're in beta, so really the ladder progression at the moment is it's on a testing phase right now, so do not worry too much about your current position or your position at the end of the season. If you were looking at my streams on the past couple of days, you could have seen the way that tilt affected me, because I was getting way too focused into going into gold. So every time that I was losing a match, or every time that matches weren't going too great, I was getting frustrated. I was getting angry, why things were happening this way. I was trying to blame everything but myself, even though that I actually acknowledged the fact that I'm a new player and I am not a good player at the moment. So I knew that one, but it would always go into the back side of your mind. You're not paying attention at that section at the moment. You're just focused on being aggressive, being toxic. It is a really unfortunate situation to be placing yourself into, because it's not going to help you at all. It's not going to make you win more games. It's not going to suddenly make you a better player at all. The game is not suddenly going to tell you, oh, this guy's tilted, let's give him some free matches. It's not going to happen. You have to put yourself back into the game. You have to calm down and get back into the matches after you took a break. And I had to take a couple breaks constantly throughout the weeks, because things were getting really complicated for me. At the end of the day, it is part of the process, and you have to reflect about why are you acting like that, what's going on, what is the reason why you're getting so angry. And in my case, it was because I really got way too focused into ranking that I completely forgot the reason that I am not progressing as fast as I wanted things to happen. Well, I'm a new player. I haven't been playing card games in over 10 years. I actually haven't played that many digital card games too, so it's a completely different scenario that I'm getting myself into. I have to be more realistic about the expectations about my progression. It's not gonna happen overnight, it's not gonna happen in a couple weeks, maybe it's not gonna happen in a couple months. It's gonna take time and dedication on my part, but I also have to be vigilant about my emotional state throughout that progression. I have to remind myself that things are gonna go bad eventually. I'm gonna lose matches, I'm gonna make mistakes, I'm gonna make misplays, and it's just the nature of the game. I shouldn't be focused on that. I should be focused in improving myself and looking at those mistakes and telling myself, I made a mistake, how do I fix it? I made a mistake, how do I prevent that one from happening? And then I just move on to the next one and the next one. And that way I start minimizing and understanding scenarios where I see, oh, that was a mistake that I used to do. It's not gonna happen anymore because now I know how to react to it. For some players, tilt is something that's gonna fade away after thousands of hours. But for others, it's always gonna be present. Therefore, we have to find a way to keep ourselves under control so we can have the best experience while playing the game. We do not want to be angry playing Mythgard. We don't want to be angry actually playing any game. They're supposed to be for fun. So we have to keep ourselves under control. And with that in mind, I want to thank you everybody for watching this new episode. Remember that I also have a written article and that I have a stream where you guys can jump into and ask me as many questions as you want regarding the game or regarding how to improve as a player. And also if you just want to discuss the topic, this one or the previous one, just come on in and start talking about it because I really like to talk with you guys. I really enjoy having discussions about the game and how to improve, about deck ideas, card ideas, everything related to today. So have a great day guys. I'll see you on the next one.